Next up, we got a strawweight clash between Angela Hill, who comes in at plus 170. She goes up against Jingnan, who comes in at minus 200. Now, I'll start off on the Hill side of things, who is looking to buck a two-fight losing streak now, and she is 41 years old, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. But something that I was praising her for at this stage of her career is the fact that she continues to evolve. You know, for a long time, she's mainly been a Muay Thai specialist that looks to utilize a high volume, high output approach, but we've seen some decent grappling improvements throughout her game, so much so that she was able to submit a BJJ black belt in Luana Pinheiro. However, we see fighters that are able to stop the grappling, or at least, really muzzle whatever type of grappling Hill has, and then are able to outstrike her. They're able to get ahead of her, right? The Ketlin Souza fight was very close. I believe it was a split decision win for Hill, but since then she's fallen short to Yasmin Lucindo and Fatima Klein. Now, the Lucindo fight was actually one where I took a shot on Hill as a big underdog, as I thought that her striking approach, or at least her grappling defense improvements, would allow her to strike with Lucindo, and then from there I thought Hill's volume would be too much for Lucindo. But what I failed to actually look at was the fact that Lucindo, whenever she was throwing, she was landing with much more impact. So even if it looked like Hill was throwing or staying a little bit busier, whenever Lucindo landed, she was able to erase whatever Hill was able to muster up until that point, and that's what likely led to Hill losing that fight. And then last time around, going up against Fatima Klein, that was a very difficult matchup for her to utilize or try to clap back against, especially considering that Klein did a great job in terms of doubling Hill up on significant strikes, and then she was able to get to the grappling realm as well without too much resistance. And I feel like with the type of matchup that they're giving her this weekend, they're kind of giving her, not giving her a layup by any means, but doing her a favor by fighting somebody closer to her skill level and closer to her age as well. She comes in against Jingnan, who is making her UFC debut as a 38-year-old. But when you look at her resume, her 19-2 record, the fact that she won the one fly title and defended it 7 times, you kind of understand why the UFC decided to bring her in, especially considering that this fight is also taking place in Macau. Now, between her second last and third last fight, she had her second last fight and her last fight, she had a 2.5-year long layoff, and she did seem a little bit sluggish when she returned against Bo Meng. But let's talk about her winning streak that she had prior to that, where she continuously defended her title. She had that trilogy against Angela Lee, where she beat her in the first fight. Then she tried to go down to 115 to try to win the title from Lee there. She ended up losing in the last round of that fight, and then she ended up rematching her for her own title, and then she was able to get the decision victory there. But a lot of her success coming from the Muay Thai game. She's a very slick striker, sharp combinations, good knees, good kicks as well. Her takedown defense has largely held up throughout her career, but when she had that 2.5-year long layoff between her fight with Angela Lee and Bo Meng, you saw a little bit of a drop off in her style against Meng. I don't know if it was the ring rust. I don't know if age is just starting to catch up to her at that point, but we did see a little bit of a drop off in terms of her aggressiveness and her intensity. But when she really comes locked in, she's one of the better strikers that we've ever seen, especially in that flyweight division. She does a great job in terms of putting punches together, really wearing on opponents as well. But she is actually coming into the UFC as a strawweight, so that's something else to take into consideration here. Like I said, grappling defense normally holds up even against some of the stronger grapplers she's gone up against and won. And then when she is at her best, it often looks like her utilizing her striking and putting numbers on her opponents while landing devastating combinations. Now, here against Hill, this is almost a fight between two very similar fighters. Obviously, you got Hill with a ton of UFC experience, but I thought Jingnan has had some very good experience over there and won, defending that flyweight title multiple times and having good success of her own. This is a great matchup for both women, but I'm going to have to lean with Jingnan just ever so slightly. I think she throws with a little bit more power than Hill, and I think even if Hill tries to throw back and tries to match the volume, I think it's going to be the power similar to what Lucindo did, where Jingnan is going to be able to come ahead just ever so slightly. With that said, I still expect this fight to be very competitive, so I don't mind anybody looking to take an underdog shot on Angela Hill at this line. Again, these women are kind of similar versions of each other, but I'm going to have to lean with a slightly more aggressive Muay Thai approach of Jingnan to pull ahead here, but at minus 200, I just don't feel too hot about it, so I'm going to go Jingnan by decision.